Uh, Good morning. Uh, Today's class is on the somatic sensations. So we finished synapse, receptors, reflexes. In the today's class, we'll see about the sensations, general sensations, how it is uh, perceived. That means how what are all the receptors and how these sensations are carried to the central nervous system. So, and what are all the sensations? What are the sensations, and then what are the receptors responsible for the different type of sensation? So, all these things will be will study in this class. The somatic senses are the nervous mechanisms, the nerves which collect the information, sensory information from all over the body. So this somatic senses are different from the uh, special senses. So the general sensations are different from the special sensations. So next we'll see how it is classified. It's actually classified in different types. It is classified in different ways. One of the way of classification is it's how, from where, from which part of the body the senses are coming. So based on this we can classify it as exteroceptive, proprioceptive, visceral, and the deep sensations. So based on the different parts of the body we classified the sensations as the exteroceptive, that means uh, from the outer surface of the body. Proprioceptive sensations means these related to the physical state of the body. For example, position sensations, tendon and muscle sensations. So pressure sensations from the bottom of the feet when you are standing. So all these sensations we call it as proprioception. And visceral means the sensations which are uh, produced, which are from the viscera of the body, especially from the internal organs of the body. Whereas the deep sensation refers to the fascia, from the muscle, from the bones. So these are called deep sensations. So based on the different parts of the body we classify like this. And this senses is also classified the different different form of energy. That is, we this is classified by on mechanoreceptors. This is classified as mechanoreceptors, and then the thermoreceptors and the pain sense. Mechanoreceptors means, so this causes some mechanical deformation of the structures, so that produces a sense. For example, the touch, pressure. So this is based on, this can be classified into based on the different form of energy. So mechanoreceptors means that causes the mechanical displacement of some tissues of the body. So then the second one is the thermo receptive senses, which detect heat and cold. And the third one is the pain sense, which is activated by damage of some tissue. So this is one classification, that is mechanoreceptive, thermoreceptive, and the pain sense. Whereas the one more classification is, which I mentioned earlier, exteroceptive, proprioceptive, visceral, and deep. Proprioceptive sensation means are those relating to the physical state of the body, including the position sensations, tendon and muscle sensations. So this is about the classification of sensations, and this is the slide which shows the different senses. That is, one is the fine touch. So under fine touch we have the tactile localization, 2-point discrimination, and then vibration, proprioception, stereognosis, crude touch, pain, temperature, itch and tickle. So these are all the general sensations. So now we'll see how this will be is detected and the transmission of tactile sensations. Okay, so we know that the interrelations among the tactile sensations, we should know the interrelation. That means the among the tactile localizations such as the touch, pressure and vibration. So although touch, pressure and vibration are frequently classified as separate sensations, they are all detected by the same type of receptors. Though it is different type of sensations, but they're detected by the same type of receptors. So the receptors here, they are responsible for identification of the different senses. So if there is a touch, so what will happen, this results from the stimulation of the tactile receptors in the skin. So this is just generally results from the touch, results from the generally stimulation of the tactile receptors. Whereas if there is a pressure sensation, so then there will be a deformation of the deeper tissues. And vibration sense in the means there will be a rapidly repetitive signals. So this is the interrelationship among these three different type of sensations. So now we'll see how the tactile how the receptors. Okay, here in this diagram you can see an example of a tactile receptor. So we have 6 different type of tactile receptors. One is the free nerve ending, and then the Merkel's discs, Meissner's corpuscles, Pacinian corpuscles, muscle spindles, and then so all these are different different receptors for the sensation. So out of which the main thing is the free nerve ending. So the first which are found everywhere, the free nerve endings, it is present mainly in the skin and in many other tissues. These mainly detect touch and pressure. And then we have the Meissner's corpuscles, Merkel's discs. So these are all the receptors for the tactile receptors. So here in this diagram, you should know that the action potential is, so as already explained previously, that a receptor is the one which converts one form of energy into the other form of energy, that it acts as a transducer. In this, the mechanical energy is converted into the electrical energy, action potentials. So if there is a touch, so what will happen, the receptor potential and action potential is generated, and this action potential is reached through the to the spinal cord through the nerve fibers, and from the spinal cord it reaches the central nervous system. And one important thing you should know that all the sensory afferents reach the spinal cord through the dorsal root of the spinal cord, whereas all the motor fibers, they uh, leave the spinal cord and innervates the effector organ through the ventral root of the spinal cord. So this law is called as Bell-Megentis law. In this diagram you can see the receptor. Okay, so from the receptor the nerve fiber, okay, so this forms the connection, okay, synapse with the dorsal root ganglion cell. So in the dorsal root we have the dorsal root ganglion cell. It's having a central process and a peripheral process. So the peripheral process will be having connection with the receptors. So then the central process enters the spinal cord. So this is a diagram which shows the general information, that is basic information regarding the tract, that is from the receptor a nerve fiber that forms the synapse with the dorsal root ganglion cell, and then from the dorsal root ganglion cell the afferent enters into the spinal cord. So we'll go to the next slide. Here you can see the dorsal root ganglion cell. So from here you can see here the dorsal root and the ventral root. So the dorsal root always the sensory afferents into the spinal cord, and from the ventral root always the motor efferents. So that is called the Bell-Megentis law. So what we mean by a tract? So these are the bundle of fibers carrying one or a group of sensory or motor impulses in the CNS. It's also called fasciculus. So you should actually know two things in the central nervous system. That is, one is the white matter and the other one is the gray matter. So the gray matter is formed by the cell bodies of the neuron, and the white matter is formed by the axons of the neurons. So the first thing is the axons forms the white matter. Okay, so we go to the next slide. Okay, so this is a cut section of the spinal cord. So in this, so what you will see is the blue coloring. These are the sensory tracts, and the red color one which represents the motor tracts. So ascending tracts are the sensory tracts, and then the descending one is the motor tracts. So this is about the how the arrangement of the sensory and the motor nerves. Okay, so you can see in this diagram we have the dorsal root and the ventral root of the spinal cord. So in this diagram you can see here, so this is the this is the dorsal root. So in this the sensory afferents enters the spinal cord, and then this is the ventral root where the motor efferents leaves the spinal cord. Here you can see in the bluish coloring. So this is for the sensory afferents. So you can see here that parts fasciculus gracilis, and then the fasciculus cuneatus, and then the posterior spinocerebellar tract, anterior spinocerebellar tract, anterior spinothalamic tract, and lateral spinothalamic tracts. So these are all the ascending tracts of the spinal cord. So you should know that the ascending tracts means it carries the sensory afferents to the CNS. Descending tracts means it carries information from the CNS to the effector organs. So ascending tracts are these things. Go to the next slide. So before going to this, we'll see what are all the okay, so this we'll see what these are the ascending tracts. Ascending tracts. So the ascending tracts, these are all the ascending tracts. First one, the tract of Gall, or it is also called fasciculus gracilis. Then the tract of Burdock or fasciculus cuneatus, comma tract of Schultz or tractus interfascicularis, and then the ventral spinothalamic tract, lateral spinothalamic tract, dorsal spinocerebellar tract, ventral spinocerebellar tract, spinotectal tract, spinoreticular tract, spino-olivary tract. So these are the ascending tracts, so which carries the sensations from the different parts of the body to the central nervous system. So first we'll see the sensory pathways. Almost all sensory information from the somatic segments of the body enters the spinal cord through the dorsal roots of the spinal nerves. So that is the Bell-Majedani law. So sensory always through the dorsal root of the spinal cord, and motor always leaves the spinal cord through the ventral root of the spinal cord. That is called Bell-Majedani's law. However, from the entry point into the cord, the sensory segments are carried through one of the two sensory pathways, that is I showed in the last diagram, you can see here. So that is the dorsal mediolaminis. Here you can see fasciculus gracilis and fasciculus cuneatus. This tract or this ascending tract is called as dorsal medial lemniscal system. And then you can see here the lateral spinothalamic and the anterior spinothalamic tract. However, from the entry point into the cord and then to the brain, the sensory segments are carried through one of these two pathways. So first we'll see the dorsal column medial lemniscal system. As the name implies, it carries signal upward to the medulla of the brain, mainly in the dorsal column of the cord. So before this chapter, you should know the section of the spinal cord. It's having a ventral horn, it's having a dorsal horn. So all these things you should know. And so the dorsal column, so this carries signals upwards to the medulla of the brain, mainly in the dorsal columns of the cord. Then after the signal synapse and cross to the opposite side in the medulla. They continue upward through the brain stem to the thalamus by way of. We'll see that one. We'll say in detail the later about this tract. So first, today we'll learn about the dorsal columnar medial lemniscal tract. This is very important as it carries the sensations like, mainly the dorsal columnar carries the sensations like fine touch, tactile localization, tactile discrimination, and then stereognosis, then diadochokinesia, all these things, proprioception. So all these things, all these sensations are carried through the dorsal lemniscal system tract. And this crude touch, pressure, pain, temperature, all these are carried by the remaining two pathways, that is anterior spinothalamic tract and the lateral spinothalamic tract. So first we'll learn about the dorsal lemniscal tract. So when you are studying a tract, so first you should know origin, so where it is situated, and what is the course from, okay, what is the course, how it travels, then extent, number of neurons, and then crossing, whether it crosses to the opposite side, whether it is ipsilateral, that means on the same side it terminates, or whether it crosses to the opposite side and then terminates, so that is called contralateral, and what its function. So the first thing, so this is the steps ascend. This is the a diagram showing the steps in the sensory pathway, ascending sensory pathways. So first the stimulus, that means if a touch or fine touch or some local tactile localization, so that is a stimulus, so detected by the receptor. So in the receptor that action potential is generated, and then that activates the first order neuron in the peripheral nervous system, then that activates the second order neurons in the CNS. Usually the axon of second order neuron crosses to the opposite side in the sensory system, that activates the third order neuron in the thalamus, and then that activates neuron in the primary sensory cortex. So in the cortex we have sensory cortex, the areas, so that activates the cortex, and then that provide conscious perception of the stimulus. Okay, so this is the pathway, steps in the sensory pathway. First there is a stimulus, receptor will be activated, so that will activates the first order neuron, then the first order neuron activates the second order neuron in the CNS, and then that activates the third order neuron in the thalamus, and from the thalamus the connections to the sensory cortex. So sensory cortex then perceives that stimulus, then it interprets everything, so then it will tell if there is a touch, so then it perceives as a touch sensation. So that is how the steps in the sensory pathway. So next we'll see what are the different receptors for the different type of sensations. So for touch, pressure and vibration, so I already mentioned free nerve endings are for the touch and pressure. Meissner's corpuscles, these are for the tactile movements, low frequency vibration. Merkel's disc for the texture, localization, and then hair end organ, that is the tactile movement, and then Raffinis end organ, that is the pressure, continuous touch, joint sensation, and then Pacinian corpuscle for the vibration. So today we'll learn about the dorsal column medial lemniscal pathway. So these are the basic things, that is it's having a 3 order neurons. Second order neurons crosses to the opposite side, that means contralateral. It relay in thalamus and end on the sensory cortex. So here we have the 2 important tracts in the dorsal mediolemniscal system. So before going to in detail about these 2 tracts, one thing I want to mention is the dorsal mediolemniscal system is also mentioned as the more improvised tract for the for the special sensations, like we can call it as that is it's mainly for the fine touch. So and then the tactile localization, tactile discrimination, and then proprioception, whereas the ascending and descending or mainly they can call it as primitive. These are the tract responsible for primitive sensations, whereas these are little bit improvised, a modern, like we can call it as modern type of sensations. This carries these specific sensations: fine touch, tactile localization, tactile discrimination, and then stereognosis and tyadagokinesia. I will mention later about all these things. So first you should know that, so these are the sensations carried by the dorsal mediolemniscal system. So it is composed of large myelinated nerve fibers. So from the receptor it activates the peripheral nervous system. So the cell body, that is the dorsal root ganglion, in the dorsal root, so this synapses with the dorsal root ganglion, and from the dorsal root ganglion the central process, so that enters the spinal cord, and then from here the tract enters the spinal cord through the dorsal column. So here these are myelinated fibers, that means the conduction is very fast, that transmit signals to the brain at a velocity of 30 to 100 meter per second, whereas the anterolateral system is composed of small myelinated. Another difference between the 2 systems is that I am just mentioning medial lemniscus has a high degree of spatial orientation of the nerve fibers with respect to their origin, while the anterolateral system has much less spatial orientation. So these differences characterize the type of sensory information that can be transmitted by the 2 system. That is, the sensory information that is must be transmitted rapidly and with more temporal and spatial fidelity is transmitted through the dorsal, whereas which does not need rapid transmission or with great spatial fidelity, that is transmitted by the anterolateral system. The anterolateral system has a special capability that the dorsal system does not have, that is the ability to transmit a broad spectrum of sensory modalities like pain, crude touch, warmth, cold, temperature. So all these are carried through the anterolateral. So the dorsal column medial lemniscal system. So these mainly is responsible for the fine touch, and then the tactile localization, tactile discrimination in the fine touch, and then stereognosis, uh, and then the diadochokinesia, proprioception. So all these sensations. So here we have the tract of Gall or the fasciculus gracilis. So this tract is runs in the dorsal column, that is it's a component of the this is the component of the uh, dorsal column. That means the origin is from the lower half of the body. So what are all the sensations from the lower half of the body? So that sensations which runs in the dorsal column, so these tracts are called the tract of Gall or the fasciculus gracilis. Situation posterior column, then it extends up to the sensory cortex. So the first order neurons, this is 3 ordered. The first order, so remain on the same side. So the first order neuron terminates in the nucleus gracilis. The second order neurons starts from the nucleus gracilis. So this is present in the medulla. That means up to medulla we call it as the first order neuron. So from the medulla, from the nucleus gracilis, it forms the arcuate fibers and crosses to the opposite side, forming the forming the one second, gracilis, okay, cuneate. So sorry, it crosses to the opposite side, okay, forming the arcuate fibers in the medulla. So this formation of arcuate fibers in the medulla, we call it as which is formed by the second order neurons, we call it as internal arcuate fibers, and these terminate in the thalamus. So from the thalamus, okay, the cell bodies, the third order neurons starts from the thalamus and then ascend to the post central gyrus via the posterior limb of internal capsule, that is from the receptor. So then it enters into the spinal cord, and then the spinal cord, it enters the posterior column and then runs up to the medulla without crossing to the opposite side. In the medulla, the first order neurons ends in the nucleus gracilis. Then the second order neurons from this nucleus crosses to the opposite side and then ascends up to the thalamus, ends in the thalamus. From the thalamus, third order neuron starts and ends in the sensory cortex, that is the post central gyrus. So what is this function mentioned? Fine touch, tactile localization, tactile discrimination, proprioception, vibration, stereognosis from the lower half of the body. Whereas the same thing from the upper half of the body, we call it as fasciculus cuneatus, and this is also called tract of Burdak. So this is the same thing but from the upper half of the body. So that is about the, so this is the somatosensory area. So this we'll discuss in the next class. So in this topic you should know that what are the different type of sensations and what are the different receptors which carries the different type of sensation, and what are all the different tracts, okay, which carries the sensation, and each tract, okay, carries which sensation. So ascending tracts means always sensory, descending means motor. So this about the today's class, and tomorrow we'll discuss the other tracts and also about the somatosensory area, somatosensory cortex. Okay, so thank you. If you have any doubt, please you can ask me. And one thing I wanted to tell regarding the taste sensation, that is the sensation of taste. Actually, there the tract, okay, which carries the sensation, it does not crosses to the opposite side. It is ipsilateral. Okay, so I mentioned, I think so, it's by mistake, that it crosses to the opposite side. So it does not crosses to the opposite side, it remains on the same side. Okay, thank you.